The quiet legends of ancient Japan, long before the bright lights of modern cities touched the horizon, before trains crossed the islands, and before the sound of traffic filled the evenings. There was an older Japan of wooden villages, mountain paths, quiet temples, rice fields under moonlight, and lanterns glowing softly behind paper walls. It was a world where the seasons were carefully noticed, where the first cherry blossoms of spring could change the feeling of an entire village, and where the sound of rain falling on a tiled roof could become part of a story remembered for generations. Tonight, we are not entering ancient Japan through noise, conflict, or urgency. We are arriving gently, like mist drifting between cedar trees at the edge of evening. Our journey will move slowly through forests, gardens, rivers, mountain shrines, and quiet village paths where old legends seem to grow naturally from the landscape itself. These stories were not always grand or dramatic. Many were soft, reflective, and deeply connected to the living world, shaped by moonlight, wind, water, blossoms, and the silence between sounds. Imagine standing at the edge of a small village as twilight settles over the valley. The roofs of wooden houses darken beneath the fading sky, while warm lantern light begins to appear behind shoji screens. Beyond the homes, a narrow path leads toward a grove of bamboo where the leaves sway gently in the evening breeze. Somewhere nearby, a stream moves over smooth stones, and farther up the mountain, an old shrine rests quietly among tall cedars, its stone steps softened by moss and time. In such places, legends did not feel separate from ordinary life. A fox seen near the edge of a rice field at dusk could become the beginning of a tale. A crane flying across a winter sky might remind someone of kindness, gratitude, or transformation. A moon reflected in a still pond could inspire a story about longing, patience, or the beauty of impermanence. Nature was not only the setting of these legends, it was their quiet voice. As the night deepens, we will walk through this ancient world with an unhurried heart. We will listen to bamboo leaves whispering under the moon, follow lantern-lit paths beside sleeping villages, rest near temple gardens where water moves softly through stone basins, and explore gentle legends of animals, spirits, travelers, and seasons. Nothing here will ask us to hurry. Nothing will pull us into fear. Each story will simply open like a paper lantern in the dark, offering a small circle of warmth before allowing the night to continue around it. So settle comfortably and let the day drift away. Imagine the cool evening air of an old Japanese valley, the scent of cedar and rain, the quiet glow of lanterns, and the immense night sky slowly filling with stars above the mountains. The path ahead is calm, the village is growing still, and somewhere beyond the bamboo grove, the first quiet legend of ancient Japan is waiting to be told, where the mountains meet the mist. As evening slowly settled across the islands of ancient Japan, the world seemed to move with remarkable gentleness. The last rays of sunlight lingered upon distant mountain peaks before fading into shades of indigo and silver, while valleys below welcomed the first traces of mist drifting quietly among cedar forests and bamboo groves. Villages nestled beside rivers and rice fields began to glow softly as lanterns were lit behind paper screens, creating pockets of warm light beneath the vast and deepening sky. Imagine standing at the edge of a mountain path overlooking a peaceful valley. Below, small wooden homes rest quietly among gardens and fields, carefully tended through many seasons. Thin trails of smoke rise from chimneys and disappear into the cool evening air, while the gentle sound of flowing water accompanies the soft rustling of leaves overhead. Somewhere in the distance, a temple bell rings once, its low and calming tone traveling through the landscape before dissolving into silence. For the people of ancient Japan, the natural world was never simply scenery surrounding daily life. Mountains, rivers, forests, and changing skies were deeply woven into their understanding of beauty, memory, and time itself. A quiet morning fog drifting across a valley, a crane flying over a lake at dawn, or a single blossom falling into a stream could become a moment worthy of reflection, poetry, or storytelling. Beauty was often found not in permanence, but in the gentle awareness that everything changes with the passing seasons. Imagine walking slowly along an old stone pathway leading toward a secluded shrine hidden among towering cedar trees. Moss covers the edges of each step, softened by centuries of rain and sunlight. Small lanterns illuminate the entrance, casting warm reflections upon nearby stones. A narrow stream flows beside the path, its surface mirroring the first stars appearing overhead, while the scent of cedarwood, damp earth, and wildflowers fills the evening air. Many of Japan's oldest legends emerged from places exactly like these. They were born not from grand battles or distant kingdoms, but from quiet observations of the world. A fox appearing at twilight near the edge of a forest might inspire a story. The moon reflected perfectly within a garden pond could become a symbol of longing or tranquility. A crane standing motionless in a misty field at dawn might remind someone of patience, grace, and the quiet passage of time. As darkness gradually deepens, the mountains become silhouettes beneath a sky overflowing with stars. The villages grow quieter, lanterns burn steadily behind paper windows, and the sounds of the countryside become softer with each passing moment. Crickets begin their gentle evening chorus, while bamboo leaves sway together in the cool night breeze, producing a whisper so delicate that it almost feels like a conversation between the forest and the wind. Perhaps this is why the gentle legends of ancient Japan continue to feel so comforting today. They invite us to slow down and notice the small wonders that surround us. They remind us that peace can often be found beside a quiet river, beneath a flowering tree, or along a lantern-lit path, where nothing extraordinary is happening except the simple beauty of the world moving at its own patient rhythm. Tonight, our journey has only just begun. Beyond the mountains lies a landscape filled with moonlit gardens, hidden temples, ancient forests, and timeless stories carried softly through generations. And somewhere beyond the drifting mist, beneath the branches of old cherry trees and the watchful light of the moon, another quiet legend patiently waits to welcome us deeper into the peaceful heart of ancient Japan. The lanterns that glowed beside quiet paths. As night settled completely across the valleys of ancient Japan, the world became softer rather than darker. The final traces of sunset disappeared beyond the mountains, while countless stars slowly revealed themselves overhead. Along narrow village paths, beside small bridges, and near temple entrances hidden among cedar groves, lanterns began to glow with a warm and steady light. Their gentle radiance illuminated only a few steps ahead, yet that was always enough. Imagine walking along a stone pathway that winds between bamboo fences and quiet gardens. Lanterns suspended beneath wooden eaves cast golden circles upon the ground, while the cool evening air carries the fragrance of cedar, pine, and flowering plants resting peacefully beneath the moon. Somewhere nearby, water trickles into a small stone basin, producing a delicate sound that blends naturally with the distant chorus of crickets. For the people of ancient Japan, lanterns were far more than simple sources of light. They accompanied evening walks, guided travelers returning home, welcomed visitors to temples, and transformed ordinary paths into places of quiet contemplation. Their soft glow never competed with the night sky above. Instead, it existed in harmony with the moon, the stars, and the darkness itself, creating an atmosphere where every movement felt calm and unhurried. Imagine pausing beside an old shrine nestled among towering cedars. Stone lanterns line the entrance, their surfaces worn smooth by centuries of rain, wind, and changing seasons. Moss grows gently along their bases, while moonlight filters through the branches overhead. The shrine itself rests in complete stillness, surrounded by trees that seem to have watched over the valley for generations beyond memory. Many of Japan's gentlest legends found their beginnings in places like these. A traveler noticing a solitary lantern glowing through the mist might carry its image home and tell a story about kindness offered to strangers. A child walking beside a grandparent along a moonlit path might remember the warmth of the lantern's light long after the evening had ended. Over time, these small experiences became woven into tales passed from one generation to the next, preserving not extraordinary events, but extraordinary feelings. There is something deeply comforting about lantern light. Unlike the brightness of day, it asks for nothing except a slower pace. It encourages quiet footsteps, patient observation, and moments of reflection that might otherwise be overlooked. Under its gentle glow, the sound of bamboo moving in the breeze becomes more noticeable. The fragrance of flowers becomes more vivid, and the stars overhead appear even more brilliant against the deep blue sky. Perhaps this is why lanterns continue to hold such a special place within the imagination. They remind us that not every journey requires seeing far ahead. Sometimes, a small light illuminating only the next few steps is more than enough. The path unfolds naturally, the night remains peaceful, and every quiet moment becomes part of a story worth remembering. As we continue deeper into ancient Japan, the lantern-lit path winds gently toward a secluded garden hidden beyond the cedar trees. There, beneath the pale glow of the moon and surrounded by still ponds and flowering branches, another quiet legend patiently waits to reveal itself beneath the sleeping sky. The moon reflected in silent gardens. Beyond the lantern-lit paths and the quiet villages resting beneath the mountains, there were gardens carefully shaped to invite stillness. They were not created to impress with grandeur, nor designed to overwhelm the senses. Instead, they offered small spaces where water, stone, wood, and plants existed in perfect balance, allowing visitors to pause for a moment and simply observe the beauty of the world moving gently around them. Imagine entering one of these gardens late in the evening. A narrow pathway of smooth stepping stones leads toward a pond whose surface remains almost perfectly still. Pine branches lean gracefully above the water, while clusters of bamboo sway softly nearby. Small stone lanterns cast warm reflections that tremble delicately upon the pond before returning once more to complete calm. For the people of ancient Japan, gardens became places where the changing seasons could be experienced in miniature. A single flowering branch could represent the arrival of spring. A few drifting maple leaves might remind visitors of autumn's quiet beauty. During winter, a thin layer of snow resting upon stone and moss transformed familiar surroundings into landscapes of remarkable simplicity. Every season revealed itself gently, asking only for careful attention. Imagine sitting beside the pond, beneath the light of a full moon. The water mirrors the heavens above so clearly that the reflection of the moon appears almost tangible, as though it could be touched with the slightest movement of the hand. Occasionally, a fish rises beneath the surface, creating circles that spread slowly outward before the reflection becomes whole again. The scene is so peaceful that even the passing of time feels softer. Many gentle Japanese legends speak of moments like these, where nature and reflection seem inseparable. They remind us that beauty is often most powerful when it is fleeting. A blossom may fall into the pond and drift away within moments, yet its image remains in memory long afterward. A moonlit evening passes into dawn, but the feeling it creates can stay within us for years. These stories rarely concern great events. Instead, they celebrate the quiet awareness that every beautiful moment is precious precisely because it cannot last forever. Imagine watching the moon slowly climb higher into the sky as the garden settles into complete stillness. The fragrance of flowers lingers in the cool night air, while the gentle sound of water flowing through a hidden channel accompanies the silence. Somewhere beyond the garden walls, the mountains stand watch beneath the stars, while the villages below sleep peacefully beneath their glowing lanterns. Perhaps this is one of the reasons ancient Japanese gardens continue to inspire such calm. They teach us that serenity does not require abundance. A single tree, a smooth stone, a small pond, and the reflection of the moon can be enough to create a place where the mind naturally becomes quieter and the heart feels wonderfully at ease. As the night deepens, the garden remains bathed in silver light, preserving its tranquil beauty beneath the heavens. Yet beyond its carefully arranged paths and still waters lies another peaceful landscape waiting to be explored. Hidden among cedar forests and mist-covered hills, ancient temples rest quietly in the mountains, where bells, incense, and the whisper of the wind have inspired gentle legends for centuries. The temples, hidden among the cedars, far beyond the villages and cultivated gardens, where mountain paths climbed steadily through forests of cedar and pine, ancient temples rested in remarkable tranquility. Some stood beside waterfalls whose waters had flowed uninterrupted for centuries, while others occupied quiet ridges overlooking valleys wrapped in mist. Reaching them required patience rather than effort, for the journey itself was considered part of the experience, allowing travelers to leave behind the noise of ordinary life, one peaceful step at a time. Imagine ascending a stone staircase softened by moss and time. Tall cedar trees rise on either side, their trunks stretching upward into the darkness where moonlight filters gently through the branches. The air is cool and fragrant with wood, earth, and incense lingering from ceremonies completed earlier in the evening. Each step feels quieter than the last, until the world below seems very far away. At the top of the path, a temple appears beneath the night sky. Its wooden beams glow faintly beneath the light of hanging lanterns, while curved rooftops stand in elegant contrast against the stars overhead. Nearby, a stone basin filled with clear mountain water reflects the moon, and a small stream flows gently past the temple grounds before disappearing once again into the forest. Nothing disturbs the stillness except the occasional movement of leaves stirred by the wind. For many generations, these mountain temples became places where people sought not excitement, but calm. Travelers paused to rest, monks observed the changing seasons with quiet attention, and visitors simply sat for a while listening to the sounds of the surrounding forest. The rustling of cedar branches, the steady rhythm of flowing water, and the distant call of a nightbird formed a kind of natural music that seemed perfectly suited to the peaceful atmosphere of these sacred places. Imagine sitting beneath the shelter of a wooden veranda while looking out toward the valley below. Thin strands of mist drift through the trees, while distant villages appear only as tiny clusters of warm light beneath the mountains. Above, countless stars shine with extraordinary clarity, reminding you that the same heavens watched over travelers who visited these temples hundreds of years ago. The experience feels timeless, as though the night itself has remained unchanged despite the passing centuries. Many gentle legends emerged from such places, not because extraordinary events occurred there, but because the environment encouraged reflection. A bell sounding through the mountains at dawn, a snowfall settling silently upon cedar branches, or a full moon rising beyond the hills could become moments worthy of remembrance. These experiences found their way into stories, poems, and memories, preserving the feeling of tranquility that mountain temples inspired in those who visited them. There is something deeply comforting about imagining these secluded sanctuaries hidden among the trees. They remind us that peace can sometimes be found simply by stepping away from distraction and allowing nature to set the pace. The forest does not rush, the mountains do not hurry, and the stars above follow the same patient rhythm they always have. As midnight approaches, the temple grows even quieter. Lanterns burn steadily beneath the eaves, incense fades gently into the cool air, and the cedar forest continues whispering beneath the moon. Beyond the mountain paths, however, another ancient companion of Japanese storytelling patiently waits. Along the edges of rivers, beneath flowering branches and mist-filled skies, graceful cranes have inspired gentle legends that have endured for centuries. The cranes that danced beneath the morning sky. As the night gradually moved toward its quietest hours, the mountains and forests of ancient Japan seemed to settle into an even deeper calm. Mist gathered softly along riverbanks. Moonlight rested upon sleeping gardens, and the cedar groves surrounding the temple stood motionless beneath the stars. It was often during these peaceful moments, between the fading of night and the first arrival of dawn, that one of Japan's most beloved creatures appeared within the landscape, the graceful crane. Imagine standing beside a broad marshland at the edge of a valley where reeds sway gently in the cool breeze. The moon hangs low above the distant hills, casting a silver glow across the water. For a while, nothing moves except the slow drifting of mist above the surface. Then, emerging from the pale morning haze, a pair of cranes steps quietly into view, their movements elegant, patient, and remarkably serene. For centuries, cranes occupied a special place within the imagination of ancient Japan. They became symbols of harmony, longevity, and quiet grace. Their slow and measured movements seemed perfectly aligned with the rhythms of nature itself. Watching them walk through shallow water or rise effortlessly into the sky inspired feelings not of excitement, but of admiration for the simple beauty found within the natural world. Imagine observing the cranes as the eastern horizon begins to brighten with the first traces of dawn. Their white feathers catch the faint morning light, while their reflections shimmer gently upon the still water below. Occasionally, they spread their wings in graceful motions that appear almost like a dance performed for no audience except the sky, the river, and the surrounding mountains. There is no urgency in their movements, only a quiet confidence that seems to belong entirely to the landscape around them. Many old Japanese stories found inspiration in creatures such as these. Rather than depicting animals as distant or unfamiliar, they often portrayed them as companions, sharing the same seasons, the same rivers, and the same skies as the people who observed them. A crane returning each spring could become a reminder of renewal. A pair flying together above a valley at sunrise might inspire reflections upon companionship, devotion, and the passage of time. In this way, the natural world itself became a teacher, offering gentle lessons through simple observation. Imagine sitting quietly beside the marsh as dawn slowly unfolds. Birds begin singing among the reeds, the stars fade one by one into the brightening sky, and a soft golden light gradually replaces the silver tones of the night. The cranes continue their calm movements, seemingly untouched by the changing world around them. They simply exist within it, moving with the same peaceful rhythm that has guided rivers, forests, and mountains for countless generations. Perhaps this is why cranes continue to inspire such affection even today. They remind us that beauty often resides in patience, in balance, and in the quiet moments that ask for nothing more than our attention. Their presence encourages us to slow down, to appreciate the world as it is, and to find contentment in the gentle unfolding of another day beneath an ancient sky. As the first sunlight reaches the distant mountains, the cranes gradually disappear into the morning mist, leaving behind only ripples upon the water and memories of their graceful passage. Our journey through ancient Japan continues, however, toward places where cherry blossoms drift upon the wind. Rivers carry reflections of the moon, and new legends quietly await beneath the branches of old trees. The cherry blossoms that taught the beauty of passing time. As dawn slowly spread across the valleys of ancient Japan, light began to touch the branches of cherry trees growing beside temples, rivers, and quiet village paths. During much of the year, these trees rested peacefully among cedar forests and bamboo groves, their presence almost unnoticed within the larger landscape. Yet for a brief period each spring, they transformed the world around them, covering hillsides and gardens with delicate clouds of pale pink and white blossoms that seemed to glow beneath the morning sky. Imagine walking along a path lined with cherry trees just after sunrise. The air is cool and fresh, carrying the subtle fragrance of flowers mixed with the scent of damp earth left behind by the night. Petals drift softly through the breeze, descending slowly toward the ground before coming to rest upon moss, stone, and flowing water. The scene feels impossibly gentle, as though the landscape itself has become lighter for a little while. For the people of ancient Japan, cherry blossoms represented more than seasonal beauty. They became quiet reminders of life's fleeting nature and of the importance of appreciating moments while they are present. Their blossoms appear suddenly, fill the world with extraordinary beauty, and then disappear within days, carried away by wind and rain. Yet rather than inspiring sadness, this brief existence encouraged gratitude. The blossoms were precious precisely because they could not remain forever. Imagine sitting beneath an old cherry tree beside a narrow stream. The water carries fallen petals gently downstream, where they gather in small clusters before continuing their journey toward valleys beyond sight. Above, birds sing softly among the branches, while sunlight filters through the blossoms, casting delicate shadows upon the ground. Everything around you feels calm, balanced, and wonderfully temporary, inviting reflection rather than urgency. Many gentle Japanese legends grew from this awareness of impermanence. A single blossom floating across a pond could inspire poetry. An evening spent watching petals fall beneath the moon might become a cherished memory passed through generations. Families gathered beneath flowering trees, not to celebrate permanence, but to celebrate presence, the simple joy of witnessing something beautiful while it lasted. Imagine the arrival of evening beneath the blossoms. Lanterns glow softly nearby, while petals continue drifting through the air like pale snowflakes illuminated by moonlight. The same trees that welcomed the warmth of spring now stand beneath a sky filled with stars, quietly reminding everyone that beauty often reveals itself most fully in moments that ask us to slow down and simply observe. Perhaps this is one of the reasons cherry blossoms remain so deeply beloved today. They teach us that not every beautiful experience needs to endure indefinitely in order to matter. Some moments are meaningful precisely because they are brief. A flower blooming for only a few days, a sunset lasting only minutes, or a peaceful evening spent beneath the stars can remain within the heart long after it has passed. As the breeze carries another shower of blossoms across the path, our journey continues deeper into the landscapes of ancient Japan. Beyond the flowering trees lie rivers reflecting the heavens, quiet tea houses hidden among the hills, and old stories whispered through generations beneath the gentle light of the moon, the rivers that carried reflections of the moon. Beyond the cherry groves and peaceful village paths, rivers moved quietly through the landscapes of ancient Japan, connecting mountains, forests, valleys, and fields in a continuous and graceful journey. Some flowed swiftly from high peaks covered in cedar and pine, while others widened into calm waterways that reflected the sky with extraordinary clarity. By day, they nourished rice fields and gardens, but at night, they became mirrors for the moon, the stars, and the gentle passage of time itself. Imagine standing beside a riverbank as evening settles softly around you. Tall reeds sway lazily in the breeze, while smooth stones line the edge of the water, polished by centuries of patient movement. Above, the sky deepens into shades of midnight blue, and the first stars begin appearing overhead. As the moon rises beyond the hills, its reflection stretches across the river's surface, shimmering gently with every small current that continues its endless course toward the sea. For the people of ancient Japan, rivers often inspired feelings of continuity and quiet reflection. They represented movement without haste, reminding observers that life unfolds gradually, much like water finding its way through valleys and plains. A river never stops flowing, yet it never seems hurried. It simply follows its path, adapting to every bend, every stone, and every changing season with remarkable ease. Imagine following a narrow trail beside the water beneath the pale glow of lantern light. The sound of the current accompanies each step, while bamboo groves lean gracefully toward the riverbanks. Fireflies drift among the reeds during warmer months, their tiny lights mirrored upon the surface below. Everything around you seems connected through rhythm, the movement of water, the rustling of leaves, the slow rising of the moon, and the quiet unfolding of the night. Many ancient Japanese stories found inspiration in these riverside moments. A traveler pausing beside the water after a long journey might notice the moon reflected so perfectly that it appears to rest within the river itself. A poet watching petals drift downstream beneath a spring sky could discover words that would be remembered for generations. Even the smallest details, a fish disturbing the reflection of the stars or a breeze rippling the surface for only a moment, could become sources of quiet wonder. Imagine sitting upon a smooth stone near the river's edge while the night grows deeper. The world feels wonderfully still, except for the steady flow of water continuing past without interruption. Looking into the current, you see the moon shining above and below at the same time, suspended between sky and river in a scene so peaceful that it seems untouched by time. It is easy to understand why moments like these inspired such gentle legends. Perhaps this is one of the enduring lessons offered by the rivers of ancient Japan. They remind us that life need not be rushed in order to be meaningful. Like water moving steadily through the landscape, beauty often reveals itself through patience, through repetition, and through the quiet appreciation of simple moments that might otherwise pass unnoticed. As the moon climbs higher and its reflection becomes even brighter upon the water, the river continues its journey toward distant valleys and coastal plains. Beyond its winding course, nestled among hills and flowering trees, quiet tea houses wait beneath the stars. where warm lantern light and the fragrance of freshly prepared tea have inspired peaceful gatherings and timeless stories for centuries. The tea houses that welcomed the evening. Beyond the rivers that reflected the moon and the cherry trees that released their blossoms into the wind, there were small tea houses resting quietly among the hills of ancient Japan. Some stood beside mountain paths traveled by pilgrims and wandering poets, while others overlooked peaceful gardens where stone lanterns glowed softly beneath the stars. They were simple places, built from wood, paper, and bamboo, yet they carried an atmosphere of warmth and tranquility that made every visitor feel immediately at ease. Imagine approaching one of these tea houses at the end of a long and peaceful day. Lanterns hang beneath the eaves, their golden light spilling gently onto smooth stone pathways bordered by moss and flowering shrubs. A narrow stream passes nearby, its steady song blending naturally with the rustling of bamboo leaves stirred by the evening breeze. The entire scene feels calm and inviting, as though the house itself is quietly welcoming anyone who wishes to pause and rest for a while. For many people in ancient Japan, tea was far more than a simple drink. It became part of a practice that encouraged mindfulness, appreciation, and attentiveness to the present moment. Preparing tea was not rushed. Water was heated slowly, cups were chosen with care, and every movement was performed with patience and intention. Even the smallest gesture carried meaning, transforming an ordinary activity into an opportunity for quiet reflection. Imagine sitting upon a woven mat near an open window overlooking a moonlit garden. Steam rises gently from a warm cup of tea resting in your hands, carrying delicate aromas into the cool evening air. Outside, a stone lantern illuminates a small pond where the moon is reflected perfectly upon the still water. A single blossom drifts across the surface, creating ripples that slowly expand outward before the pond returns once again to complete calm. Many gentle stories of ancient Japan seem perfectly suited to places like these. Travelers shared memories gathered along distant roads, poets found inspiration in changing seasons, and friends sat together listening to the sounds of rain upon tiled rooftops. These moments rarely involved extraordinary events. Instead, they celebrated companionship, stillness, and the quiet joy of noticing beauty in everyday experiences. Imagine remaining there as the night deepens. Crickets sing softly in the garden, while the stars above become brighter with every passing hour. The warm glow of lantern light contrasts gently with the cool silver tones of moonlight, creating an atmosphere where time feels wonderfully suspended. Nothing asks for urgency, nothing demands attention. There is only the comfort of warmth, the fragrance of tea, and the peaceful awareness of being fully present within the moment. Perhaps this is one reason tea houses continue to inspire such feelings of serenity. They remind us that true comfort is often found in simple things. A shared conversation, the sound of water flowing nearby, the sight of moonlight resting upon a garden, or the quiet pleasure of holding a warm cup while the world outside grows still. As the lanterns continue glowing softly against the darkness, the hills surrounding the tea house rest peacefully beneath the stars. Yet beyond the gardens and mountain paths, another gentle companion of Japanese storytelling waits beneath the night sky. In forests of bamboo and cedar, where mist drifts between ancient trees, the quiet songs of the wind have inspired legends that have endured through countless generations. The wind that whispered through the bamboo. Beyond the warmth of the tea houses and the quiet beauty of moonlit gardens, vast groves of bamboo stretched across the hillsides of ancient Japan. During the day, sunlight filtered through their tall green stalks, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow upon the earth below. At night, however, these forests became places of remarkable tranquility, where the gentle movement of the wind seemed to give voice to the landscape itself. Imagine walking along a narrow path that winds through a bamboo grove beneath a sky filled with stars. The towering stalks rise gracefully on either side, their slender forms swaying ever so slightly as a cool evening breeze passes among them. Their leaves brush softly against one another, producing a delicate sound unlike anything else in nature. It is not quite music, nor is it simply the sound of leaves moving in the wind. It feels more like a quiet conversation taking place between the forest and the night. For the people of ancient Japan, bamboo represented resilience, flexibility, and harmony with the natural world. Unlike rigid trees that resisted strong winds, bamboo bent gently and then returned to its upright form without losing its grace. This quiet strength inspired admiration and became a reminder that peace often comes not from resisting change, but from learning to move with it. Imagine pausing in the center of the grove while moonlight filters through the leaves overhead. Thin beams of silver light reach the forest floor, illuminating patches of moss and small stones scattered along the path. Somewhere nearby, a stream flows unseen through the darkness, while a nightbird calls softly from deeper within the woods. The entire landscape feels alive, yet wonderfully calm, as though every part of it is breathing together in perfect rhythm. Many gentle Japanese legends were inspired by moments like these. A traveler, hearing the sound of bamboo moving in the night, might imagine unseen guardians watching peacefully over the forest. A poet resting beneath the stalks during a summer evening could find endless inspiration in the changing patterns of moonlight and shadow. The beauty of these places was never dramatic or overwhelming. Instead, it revealed itself quietly to anyone willing to slow their pace and listen carefully. Imagine remaining there for a little while longer, allowing the sounds of the bamboo to surround you completely. The breeze comes and goes in gentle waves, sometimes growing stronger, sometimes fading until complete stillness returns. With every movement, the grove seems to speak in a language older than memory, carrying stories that have accompanied countless generations through changing seasons, passing years, and endless nights beneath the stars. Perhaps this is why bamboo forests continue to inspire such peace today. They remind us that nature does not need grand spectacles to leave a lasting impression. Sometimes a simple sound, the whisper of leaves in the wind, the murmur of flowing water, or the quiet chorus of insects beneath the moon, is enough to create a memory that remains within us long after the moment has passed. As the breeze gradually softens and the bamboo returns to stillness, the moon continues its slow journey across the heavens. Somewhere beyond the grove, hidden among old temples, flowering trees, and mist-covered valleys, new stories patiently await. Ancient Japan still has many quiet legends to share, and our peaceful journey beneath its timeless skies has only just begun. The koi that moved like living moonlight. As the night continued its gentle passage across ancient Japan, many gardens remained awake beneath the stars. Their lanterns glowed softly, their ponds reflected the heavens, and their winding paths invited quiet walks beneath the cool evening sky. Among these peaceful landscapes, koi fish drifted gracefully through still waters, becoming symbols of calm, perseverance, and harmony for generations who found comfort simply by watching them move. Imagine standing beside a garden pond, surrounded by smooth stones, flowering shrubs, and carefully pruned pine trees. The moon hangs above the branches, illuminating the water with a pale silver glow. Beneath the surface, Koi swim slowly through the reflections of stars and lantern light, their movements so effortless that they seem less like fish and more like flowing brushstrokes painted upon the water itself. For the people of ancient Japan, observing nature was often an exercise in patience. A pond was not admired for constant activity, but for its ability to encourage stillness. Sitting beside the water, watching koi circle quietly beneath the moon, allowed thoughts to settle naturally, much like leaves drifting gently toward the surface before coming to rest. There was no need to hurry, because the beauty of the moment revealed itself gradually. Imagine sitting on a wooden veranda overlooking the pond, while a cool breeze carries the scent of cedar and night-blooming flowers through the garden. Occasionally, a koi rises toward the surface, creating circles that spread slowly across the water before disappearing into perfect calm. The moon's reflection breaks apart for only a moment before becoming whole once again, as though reminding us that tranquility can always return after even the smallest disturbance. Many gentle Japanese stories found inspiration in scenes like these. They celebrated the quiet dignity of ordinary moments, encouraging people to notice details that might otherwise be overlooked. A fish gliding beneath moonlight, a blossom resting upon still water, or a single lantern reflected in a pond could become a memory cherished for years. Beauty did not need to announce itself loudly. It simply waited patiently to be noticed. Imagine remaining beside the pond as the hours pass. Crickets continue their evening song, while fireflies drift among the grasses surrounding the water. The garden seems suspended between earth and sky, with the koi moving gracefully through a world made of reflections, moonlight, and silence. Everything feels balanced, peaceful, and deeply comforting, as though the entire landscape exists solely to invite rest. Perhaps this is why gardens occupied such a cherished place within ancient Japan. They offered opportunities to step away from the demands of everyday life and enter a space where time moved more slowly. There, surrounded by water, stone, trees, and gentle sounds, people could rediscover a sense of calm that often becomes hidden within the busyness of ordinary days. As the moon climbs higher and the pond continues mirroring the stars above, the night remains full of quiet beauty. Yet beyond these tranquil gardens lie ancient pathways lined with maple trees, where the changing seasons have inspired stories of reflection, gratitude, and the gentle acceptance of life's ever-changing nature. The maple leaves that floated through autumn. As summer gradually surrendered itself to cooler days, the landscapes of ancient Japan began one of their most beautiful transformations. Forests that had been deep green beneath the warmth of the sun slowly welcomed shades of crimson, amber, and gold. Hillsides appeared to glow beneath the changing leaves, while quiet pathways became covered with colors so rich that they seemed almost painted by hand. Autumn arrived gently, without urgency, allowing nature to reveal its beauty, one leaf at a time. Imagine walking along a stone path that winds through a maple grove during the early hours of evening. Lanterns glow softly beside the trail, while the branches above are filled with leaves of brilliant red and warm orange. A cool breeze moves through the trees, releasing a handful of leaves into the air. They drift slowly downward, turning gracefully as they descend, before coming to rest upon moss, stones, and still pools of water. For the people of ancient Japan, autumn carried a quiet sense of appreciation. It was a season that invited reflection, encouraging people to observe the passing of time not with sadness, but with gratitude. Just as cherry blossoms taught the beauty of fleeting moments in spring, autumn leaves offered their own lesson. They reminded everyone that change itself possesses a remarkable elegance and that every season contributes something precious to the world. Imagine standing beside a small stream flowing beneath maple branches. Fallen leaves gather upon the surface before continuing their journey downstream, carried gently by the current toward valleys hidden beyond sight. Above, the moon rises slowly into the evening sky, illuminating the leaves with a silvery glow that transforms their warm colors into softer shades of copper and bronze. The scene feels wonderfully peaceful, as though nature itself is preparing for a season of quiet rest. Many gentle legends of ancient Japan were inspired by these moments. A traveler returning home beneath autumn trees might pause to admire the beauty surrounding them, carrying the memory for years afterward. A poet could spend an entire evening watching leaves drift across a pond, discovering endless inspiration within their simple movement. Families gathered together to admire the changing forests, not because they feared the coming winter, but because they understood the importance of honoring each season while it remained. Imagine sitting beneath an old maple tree as leaves continue falling around you. The forest is calm, except for the soft rustling overhead and the occasional sound of a leaf touching the ground. Nearby, a lantern burns steadily beside a wooden bridge, while distant mountains appear as dark silhouettes beneath the stars. Everything feels balanced between movement and stillness, reminding us that nature is constantly changing while remaining deeply familiar. Perhaps this is one of the reasons autumn continues to inspire such affection. It teaches us that letting go can be beautiful. Leaves do not resist the wind, nor do trees mourn their passing. Instead, they trust the rhythm that has guided countless seasons before them, knowing that spring will eventually return and new blossoms will once again appear beneath the warming sun. As another gentle breeze carries leaves across the pathway, the evening deepens beneath the ancient trees. Beyond the maple groves, however, rivers continue flowing toward the sea, and hidden among mountain valleys, quiet hot springs rest beneath the stars, offering warmth, comfort, and peaceful moments that have soothed travelers for centuries. The hot springs, hidden among the mountains. Beyond the maple forests, beyond the lantern-lit villages and quiet temples nestled among cedar trees, there were valleys where warm waters emerged naturally from deep beneath the earth. Surrounded by mountains, rivers, and ancient forests, these hidden hot springs became places of rest for travelers, pilgrims, poets, and families seeking a moment of peace beneath the changing skies of ancient Japan. Imagine arriving at one of these secluded springs during the evening. A gentle mist rises from the warm water, drifting upward into the cool mountain air. Smooth stones border the pools, while cedar trees stand quietly nearby, their branches illuminated by moonlight filtering through the forest canopy. The scent of wood, mineral-rich water, and damp earth fills the night, creating an atmosphere that feels both timeless and deeply comforting. For generations, these mountain springs were appreciated not only for their warmth, but also for the tranquility they offered. People traveled long distances along winding paths through valleys and forests, eventually reaching places where they could pause, rest, and simply listen to the natural world around them. There was no expectation of entertainment or distraction. The experience itself, the warmth of the water, the silence of the mountains, and the presence of the stars overhead was more than enough. Imagine sitting quietly beside a steaming pool while the moon rises above the surrounding peaks. The water reflects silver light upon its surface, while thin wisps of steam drift upward like clouds moving slowly across the landscape. A nearby stream continues its gentle journey through the valley, and somewhere deeper within the forest, a night bird calls softly before silence returns once again. Many gentle stories were born in places like these because they encouraged people to slow down and observe details often missed during busier moments. A snowfall settling upon cedar branches around a hot spring, moonlight resting upon rising steam, or the sound of rain tapping lightly against wooden roofs could become memories cherished for years. Such moments did not need dramatic events to become meaningful. Their beauty existed precisely because they were quiet and fleeting. Imagine remaining there as the night grows deeper. The warmth of the water contrasts pleasantly with the cool mountain air, while the stars overhead appear brighter with every passing hour. Mist gathers among the trees, softening the outlines of the forest and giving the valley a dreamlike quality. The mountains stand silently around you, ancient and patient, watching over the landscape exactly as they have for countless generations. Perhaps this is why hot springs have long occupied such a cherished place within Japanese culture. They remind us that rest is not something to be earned only after great accomplishments. Sometimes, rest itself is valuable. Taking time to pause, breathe deeply, and appreciate the beauty of a quiet evening beneath the stars can become one of life's most meaningful experiences. As the steam continues rising toward the heavens and the valley settles into complete tranquility, another peaceful chapter of ancient Japan waits beyond the mountains. There, beside the sea, where waves meet rocky shores and fishermen once navigated beneath moonlit skies, gentle legends inspired by the ocean continue to drift through the centuries like whispers carried upon the wind. The sea that sang beneath the moon. Beyond the mountains, forests, and quiet valleys of ancient Japan, the land eventually met the sea. Along the coastline, fishing villages rested peacefully beside sheltered bays, while rocky cliffs overlooked waters that stretched endlessly toward the horizon. By day, the ocean reflected the brightness of the sky, but at night it became a world of silver light, gentle waves, and quiet melodies carried by the wind. Imagine standing upon a smooth stone path overlooking a small harbor beneath the moon. Wooden boats rest calmly upon the water, their reflections swaying softly with the movement of the tide. Lanterns glow warmly along the shoreline, illuminating small homes where families have long since settled into the comfort of evening. Above them, the stars shine with extraordinary clarity, mirrored by the dark waters below. For the people of ancient Japan, the sea was both familiar and mysterious. It provided food, connected distant regions, and offered endless opportunities for contemplation. Fishermen departing before dawn often witnessed remarkable scenes. The moon setting over the water, the first light touching the waves, and seabirds gliding effortlessly above the tide. These moments inspired stories not because they were unusual, but because they revealed the quiet beauty hidden within everyday life. Imagine sitting upon a weathered wooden dock while listening to the rhythm of the ocean. The waves arrive steadily, touching the shore before retreating once more into the darkness. Their movement is unhurried, repeating endlessly with the same calm certainty they have carried for centuries. Nearby, reeds sway gently in the breeze, while the scent of salt water mingles with the fragrance of pine trees growing along the cliffs above. Many gentle Japanese legends emerged from coastal landscapes like these. A pearl discovered within a shell, a seabird returning faithfully to the same shoreline each year, or moonlight shimmering across calm waters could inspire reflections upon gratitude, patience, and the enduring connection between people and nature. The sea was not always viewed as something to conquer. Often it was simply admired for its ability to remind observers of the vastness and beauty of the world around them. Imagine watching the moon cast a long pathway of silver across the surface of the ocean. The water seems to stretch endlessly toward the horizon, where sky and sea merge beneath countless stars. There is something deeply peaceful about this meeting place between land and water. It encourages quiet thoughts and gentle wonder, reminding us that beauty often lies not in extraordinary discoveries, but in the willingness to observe familiar things with fresh eyes. Perhaps this is why the sea has remained such an enduring source of inspiration throughout Japanese history. Like rivers, forests, and mountains, it teaches patience. It changes constantly, yet remains reassuringly familiar. Each wave is unique, yet part of an endless rhythm that has accompanied generations beneath the same sky. As midnight slowly approaches, the coastline grows quiet as still. Lanterns continue glowing softly within distant homes. Waves maintain their steady song, and the moon begins its gradual descent toward the western horizon. Beyond the shore, hidden among snowy landscapes, ancient villages, and winter forests, another season quietly waits to share its gentle stories beneath the stars. The snow that covered the quiet villages. As autumn slowly faded from the mountains and the last maple leaves settled upon rivers and pathways, winter arrived with remarkable gentleness across the landscapes of ancient Japan. The air became cooler, the mornings quieter, and the distant peaks gradually welcomed their first layers of snow. Before long, entire valleys seemed transformed, as though the world itself had decided to rest beneath a soft white blanket until spring quietly returned once more. Imagine waking before sunrise in a small mountain village after the season's first snowfall. The roofs of wooden houses are covered in fresh snow, while thin wisps of smoke rise lazily from chimneys into the pale morning sky. Lanterns near doorways continue glowing softly, their warm amber light contrasting beautifully against the cool shades of silver and white that surround them. The entire village feels hushed, as though winter itself has invited everyone to move a little more slowly. For the people of ancient Japan, winter possessed its own unique beauty. While spring celebrated blossoms and autumn admired changing leaves, winter encouraged appreciation for simplicity, stillness, and quiet companionship. Snow softened familiar landscapes, transforming stone pathways, gardens, temples, and forests into scenes of extraordinary calm. Even ordinary places seemed renewed beneath the gentle touch of falling snow. Imagine walking along a narrow path lined with cedar trees while snowflakes drift slowly through the air. Each branch carries a delicate layer of white, while footsteps leave temporary impressions upon the untouched ground. A nearby stream continues flowing despite the cold, its waters moving steadily beneath small bridges dusted with frost. The only sounds are the soft crunch beneath your feet and the occasional whisper of wind moving through the forest. Many gentle stories emerged from winter evenings spent beside warm hearths while snow accumulated quietly outside. Families gathered together beneath lantern light, sharing tea, preparing simple meals, and telling stories that had accompanied generations through countless seasons. The snowfall outside created a sense of peaceful separation from the wider world, allowing homes to become places of warmth, comfort, and reflection. Imagine sitting near a paper window while watching snowflakes descend beneath the moon. Their movement is slow and graceful, illuminated by lanterns hanging outside nearby homes. Some settle upon bamboo fences, others rest upon tree branches, while many disappear silently into the growing blanket of snow covering the village. The scene feels timeless, carrying the same quiet beauty that travelers and storytellers admired centuries ago. Perhaps this is one of winter's greatest gifts. It encourages us to embrace stillness without feeling emptiness. Snow does not ask the world to stop completely, but it gently softens its edges, inviting people to appreciate silence, warmth, and the simple joy of being present within a peaceful moment. As the snowfall continues beneath the stars, the village rests comfortably within its winter landscape. Yet beyond the snowy hills and sleeping homes, there are forests where animals leave delicate tracks across the ground, and where gentle legends inspired by foxes, deer, and birds continue to drift through the centuries like snowflakes carried softly upon the wind. The foxes that walked through the winter forest. Beyond the quiet villages resting beneath blankets of snow, the forests of ancient Japan continued their gentle rhythm through the colder months. Cedar trees stood tall against pale skies. Bamboo groves carried thin layers of frost upon their leaves, and winding paths disappeared beneath fresh snowfall that softened every stone and hillside. Although the landscape seemed still, life quietly continued among the trees, leaving behind small traces for patient observers to discover. Imagine walking along a narrow woodland trail early in the morning after a snowfall during the night. The world around you appears untouched, covered in smooth white drifts that shimmer beneath the winter sun. Then, near the edge of the path, you notice a delicate line of footprints crossing the snow. They move gracefully between cedar trunks, curve around a moss-covered stone, and disappear once again into the quiet forest beyond. For generations, foxes occupied a special place within the imagination of ancient Japan. They were admired for their elegance, intelligence, and mysterious presence within the natural world. Yet many of the gentlest stories involving foxes were not tales of mischief or transformation, but simple reflections inspired by their beauty. A fox, appearing briefly at twilight, standing motionless in a snowy clearing before continuing its journey, could leave an impression that remained within memory for years. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest meadow as soft morning light filters through the branches overhead. In the distance, a fox moves quietly across the snow, its reddish fur offering a warm contrast against the pale winter landscape. It pauses for a moment, listening to the wind moving through the trees, before continuing its calm and measured path through the woods. There is no urgency in its movement, only a quiet confidence that seems perfectly suited to the peaceful surroundings. Many old Japanese legends emerged from observations like these. Rather than separating animals from human experience, they often portrayed them as fellow travelers moving through the same changing seasons. A fox seeking shelter beneath cedar branches during a snowstorm, a deer crossing a frozen stream, or a crane standing beside a mist-covered marsh could become reminders that all living things share the same landscape, adapting gently to the rhythms of nature. Imagine following the footprints for a little while longer as snow continues falling lightly around you. The forest is silent, except for the occasional sound of snow slipping from branches overhead. The air feels crisp and wonderfully fresh, carrying the scent of cedar, pine, and cold earth. Looking upward, you see sunlight breaking through the canopy in soft beams, illuminating tiny snowflakes as they drift slowly toward the ground. Perhaps this is why stories inspired by animals continue to feel so comforting. They remind us that beauty often appears unexpectedly, asking only that we remain attentive enough to notice it. A fox crossing a snowy path, visible for only a few moments before vanishing among the trees, can leave behind a feeling of peace that endures long after the footprints themselves have disappeared. As the winter forest settles once again into quiet stillness, the footprints gradually become covered by fresh snow, returning the landscape to its untouched beauty. Beyond the cedar groves, however, another gentle companion of ancient Japan patiently awaits. Along winding mountain roads and beneath lantern-lit bridges, travelers once journeyed beneath the stars, carrying stories, poems and memories through landscapes shaped by moonlight and mist. The travelers who followed the moonlit roads. Long before modern roads connected the cities of Japan, travelers crossed the countryside along pathways that wound through valleys, forests, mountain passes, and quiet villages. Some journeyed to visit distant relatives, others sought temples hidden among the hills, while poets, artists, and pilgrims traveled simply to experience the beauty of places they had only heard described in stories. These journeys were rarely hurried. They unfolded gradually, measured by changing landscapes, shifting seasons, and the gentle passage of days beneath the open sky. Imagine walking along one of these old roads during a clear evening. Stone markers stand beside the path, worn smooth by centuries of rain and countless footsteps. The moon rises above the mountains, illuminating the countryside with a soft silver glow. Rice fields shimmer beneath the night sky, while distant homes glow warmly behind paper windows, offering quiet reminders that rest and companionship await at the end of the day's journey. For many travelers in ancient Japan, the road itself became a place of reflection. The experience was not only about reaching a destination, but about noticing the world along the way. A river crossed at sunset, a grove of bamboo moving gently in the breeze, or a quiet shrine discovered unexpectedly beside the path could transform an ordinary day into a memory worth carrying for years. Imagine pausing beside a small wooden bridge spanning a narrow stream. The water below reflects the stars overhead, while reeds along the banks sway softly in the cool night air. A lantern hanging near the bridge casts a warm circle of light upon the ground, illuminating wild grasses and fallen leaves gathered near the water's edge. Beyond the bridge, the road continues into the distance, disappearing gently into a landscape wrapped in moonlight. Many poems and stories emerged from moments like these because travel encouraged people to observe details often overlooked in everyday life. The changing color of the sky, the fragrance of pine forests after rain, the sound of distant bells carried by the wind, or the sight of cherry blossoms drifting across a mountain path became treasures collected along the journey. Travelers returned home not only with memories of places, but with a deeper appreciation for the quiet beauty hidden within ordinary experiences. Imagine continuing your walk as the evening grows deeper. Crickets sing from nearby fields, while clouds drift slowly across the moon before moving on once again. The path beneath your feet feels familiar, even though you have never walked it before, as though generations of travelers have left behind a sense of calm that still lingers within the landscape. Every step feels unhurried, allowing the journey itself to become a source of peace. Perhaps this is one reason ancient roads continue to inspire the imagination. They remind us that meaningful experiences are often discovered not at the end of a journey, but along the way. A quiet bridge, a lantern glowing in the distance, or a moonlit path winding through the countryside can become moments of remarkable beauty simply because we take the time to notice them. As the road continues beneath the stars, mountains rise once again upon the horizon, and forests welcome the cool breeze of the night. Somewhere ahead, hidden among flowering gardens and old wooden homes, another gentle chapter of ancient Japan patiently awaits, carrying with it the quiet sounds of rain, the fragrance of blossoms, and the timeless comfort of evenings spent beneath the watchful light of the moon. The rain that sang upon the rooftops. There were evenings in ancient Japan when the sky became covered with soft clouds and the stars slowly disappeared behind a veil of mist. The mountains faded into pale silhouettes, the forests grew darker, and a gentle rain began to descend across valleys, gardens, temples, and villages. It was rarely a violent storm. More often, it arrived quietly, touching the landscape with the same calm rhythm that had accompanied countless seasons before. Imagine sitting inside a small wooden house nestled beside a bamboo grove while rain falls steadily outside. Lantern light glows warmly against paper screens, illuminating woven mats, low tables and shelves holding carefully crafted pottery. Beyond the window, raindrops gather along the eaves before falling softly onto stone pathways and patches of moss that have welcomed centuries of changing weather. For the people of ancient Japan, rain possessed a beauty entirely its own. It transformed familiar places without changing their essence. Gardens became brighter beneath fresh droplets, streams sang a little louder, and the fragrance of cedar, earth, and flowers seemed to deepen in the cool air. Rather than interrupting life, rain invited people to slow down, remain indoors, and appreciate the comfort of warmth and shelter while nature continued its quiet work beyond the walls. Imagine listening carefully as the rain creates countless small melodies around you. Some drops tap gently against bamboo leaves, while others strike wooden rooftops with soft and steady rhythms. Water trickles from gutters into stone basins, and distant streams swell ever so slightly beneath the persistent shower. Together, these sounds form a peaceful symphony that fills the evening without ever becoming overwhelming. Many gentle Japanese stories found inspiration in rainy nights like these. Families gathered together beneath lantern light, sharing tea and simple meals, while stories drifted from one generation to the next. Children watched raindrops slide down paper windows, imagining distant mountains hidden beyond the clouds. Poets sat quietly observing the changing atmosphere, finding beauty in the way mist softened the outlines of gardens and trees. Imagine stepping outside beneath the shelter of a covered walkway as the rain continues falling around you. Stone lanterns glow softly through the mist, their reflections shimmering upon wet pathways. Cherry trees, maples, and bamboo appear more vibrant beneath the fresh rain, while small ponds ripple gently with every new droplet touching their surface. The entire world feels refreshed, quieter, and somehow closer. Perhaps this is one reason rainy evenings remain so comforting. They create natural moments of pause, encouraging us to appreciate simple pleasures often overlooked during brighter days. The warmth of a lantern, the sound of rain against the roof, the fragrance of tea, or the sight of mist drifting through a garden can become memories that stay with us long after the clouds have passed. As the night grows deeper, the rainfall gradually softens until only occasional drops continue falling from leaves and rooftops. Clouds begin to part, revealing stars returning one by one to the heavens. Moonlight touches the wet landscape, transforming every stone, branch, and flower into something luminous beneath the quiet sky. Beyond the rain-washed gardens and sleeping villages, ancient Japan still holds many peaceful stories, waiting patiently beneath the stars to accompany us through the remaining chapters of our gentle journey. The fireflies that illuminated summer nights. As spring blossoms gave way to the warmth of summer, the landscapes of ancient Japan welcomed longer evenings filled with soft breezes, fragrant flowers, and skies that remained painted with gentle colors long after sunset. Rivers flowed quietly through valleys of deep green, forests hummed with life beneath the canopy, and gardens rested beneath a blanket of stars that seemed especially bright during the calmest nights of the season. Imagine walking beside a narrow river during a warm summer evening. The air carries the scent of fresh grass, cedar wood, and blooming flowers hidden among the shadows. The sky above is a deep shade of indigo, while the moon hangs peacefully over the distant mountains. At first, the darkness appears complete. Then, little by little, tiny lights begin appearing among the reeds beside the water. Fireflies drift slowly above the riverbank, glowing softly as they move through the night. Their lights blink gently among the grasses, rise toward the branches of nearby trees, and disappear momentarily before shining once again. They seem almost like wandering stars that have descended from the heavens, bringing a quiet sense of wonder to the sleeping landscape. For generations, the people of ancient Japan admired fireflies not for their brightness, but for their delicacy. Their glow was never harsh or overwhelming. It was fleeting, subtle, and deeply connected to the beauty of summer itself. Watching them drift through gardens and riverbanks became an experience associated with stillness, appreciation, and the awareness that some of nature's most beautiful moments are also among its most temporary. Imagine sitting beside the water as dozens of fireflies dance quietly above the surface. Their reflections shimmer below, creating the impression that the river itself has become filled with tiny stars. Nearby, crickets sing softly in the grass, while bamboo leaves sway gently in the warm evening breeze. The sounds and lights of the night blend together so naturally that it becomes difficult to distinguish where the landscape ends and the sky begins. Many gentle Japanese legends found inspiration in such scenes because they encouraged contemplation rather than excitement. A single firefly resting upon a leaf could inspire a poem. A summer evening spent watching their glowing movements beside a river might remain vivid in memory for decades. These moments reminded people that beauty often reveals itself quietly, asking only for patience and attention. Imagine remaining there as the night deepens. More fireflies emerge from the grasses, moving gracefully through the darkness while the moon climbs higher above the valley. The river continues its steady journey toward distant plains, carrying reflections of stars, lanterns, and glowing wings beneath the peaceful summer sky. Everything around you feels wonderfully balanced, offering a sense of calm that seems untouched by time. Perhaps this is why fireflies continue to hold such a special place within Japanese culture. They remind us that even the smallest lights can transform a landscape, and that some of the most meaningful experiences in life are those that last only a short while. Their gentle glow teaches us to cherish the present moment, knowing that its beauty lies partly in its impermanence. As the fireflies drift quietly among the reeds and the warm summer night settles around the valley, another peaceful chapter of ancient Japan awaits. Beyond the rivers and gardens, hidden within old libraries, quiet courtyards, and candlelit rooms, stories continue to be written, preserved, and shared beneath the watchful light of the moon. The books that slept beneath lantern light. Long before printing became widespread and books filled great libraries, stories in ancient Japan were carefully copied by hand, preserved within scrolls, journals, and beautifully bound manuscripts. They rested upon wooden shelves inside temples, private homes, and quiet study rooms where the soft glow of lantern light illuminated pages filled with poems, observations, and gentle reflections inspired by the natural world. Imagine entering a small room overlooking a peaceful garden late in the evening. The floor is covered with woven mats, while wooden shelves hold scrolls wrapped in silk and paper. A lantern burns quietly beside a low table, casting a warm amber light that dances softly upon the walls. Beyond the open window, bamboo leaves move gently in the night breeze, and the distant sound of water trickling through a garden accompanies the stillness. For many people in ancient Japan, reading and writing were not hurried activities. They were opportunities to slow down and appreciate the passing moments of life. Poems were composed after observing falling blossoms. Letters were written while listening to rain against a rooftop, and journals recorded the changing appearance of the moon through the seasons. These writings became companions through the years, preserving memories that might otherwise have disappeared like petals carried away by the wind. Imagine unrolling an old scroll and discovering delicate brushstrokes describing a moonlit evening beside a river. The writer speaks of mist gathering over the water, lanterns glowing in distant homes, and the quiet satisfaction of watching stars emerge above the mountains. Though centuries separate you from the person who once held the brush, the emotions feel remarkably familiar. Peace, gratitude, wonder, and appreciation for small moments continue to connect people across generations. Many gentle legends survive because they were lovingly preserved within these quiet spaces. Stories about cranes, foxes, gardens, rivers, and changing seasons found their way into poems and manuscripts, allowing their beauty to travel through time. They remind us that storytelling does not always require dramatic adventures. Sometimes it begins simply with someone noticing the sound of bamboo in the wind, or the reflection of the moon in a still pond, and deciding that such a moment deserves to be remembered. Imagine sitting beside the lantern as the night grows deeper. Its flame flickers gently whenever a breeze enters through the window, while shadows move softly across shelves filled with books and scrolls. Outside, the garden rests beneath moonlight, and the fragrance of cedar wood mingles with the scent of ink and paper. The atmosphere feels wonderfully calm, as though the stories themselves are sleeping peacefully until someone chooses to read them once again. Perhaps this is why ancient writings continue to inspire such affection. They allow us to hear voices from distant centuries speaking quietly about experiences that remain meaningful today. They remind us that beauty has always existed in simple things: a garden after rain, birds greeting the dawn, a cup of tea shared with friends, or a peaceful evening spent watching the moon rise above the hills. As the lantern burns steadily and the pages rest quietly upon the table, the night outside continues its gentle rhythm. Beyond the study room, however, forests still whisper beneath the stars. Mountain paths remain wrapped in mist, and another quiet legend patiently waits among the cedar trees, ready to guide us deeper into the timeless beauty of ancient Japan. The bells that echoed across the valleys. As the night continued its slow passage across the landscapes of ancient Japan, there were moments when silence was gently interrupted by a sound both simple and profound. From temples hidden among cedar forests, from shrines resting upon mist-covered hills, and from quiet monasteries overlooking peaceful valleys, bells occasionally rang through the cool air, their deep tones traveling great distances before gradually dissolving into stillness once more. Imagine standing upon a mountain path shortly before dawn. The sky is still dark, though a faint silver glow has begun to appear along the eastern horizon. Below, valleys remain wrapped in thin layers of mist, while villages sleep peacefully beneath tiled rooftops touched by moonlight. Then, from somewhere beyond the trees, a bell sounds softly through the mountains, its resonance spreading outward like ripples upon a calm pond. For the people of ancient Japan, bells were more than instruments that marked the passage of time. Their sound invited reflection, encouraging listeners to pause and become aware of the present moment. A bell ringing at sunrise welcomed the beginning of a new day. One heard at sunset accompanied the quiet transition from activity to rest. During the still hours of the evening, its gentle tone seemed to unite mountains, forests, rivers, and villages within the same peaceful rhythm. Imagine listening as the final vibration fades into the distance. For a brief moment, everything feels even quieter than before. The rustling of leaves becomes more noticeable, the sound of flowing water seems clearer, and the cool breeze moving through the cedar branches feels softer upon your skin. The bell does not disturb the silence. Instead, it deepens it, allowing the surrounding world to reveal itself more fully. Many gentle stories were inspired by experiences like these because they reminded people that beauty often exists within the spaces between sounds. The pause after a bell's resonance, the stillness following a snowfall, or the silence that settles over a garden beneath the moon can become moments of remarkable serenity. Ancient Japanese traditions often encouraged people to appreciate these subtle experiences, understanding that tranquility is rarely found through excess, but through simplicity. Imagine sitting beneath an old pine tree overlooking the valley as another bell rings from a distant temple. Its tone drifts across rivers, forests, and sleeping villages before slowly disappearing into the morning mist. Above, stars continue shining faintly in the sky, while below, lanterns burn softly in a handful of homes where early risers prepare for the coming day. The entire landscape feels connected through invisible threads of sound, light, and quiet companionship. Perhaps this is why temple bells continue to inspire such calm even today. Their voices carry no urgency, no command, and no demand for attention. They simply remind us to pause, breathe deeply, and notice the beauty already present around us. In a world that often encourages haste, their gentle resonance invites us back toward patience, reflection, and gratitude for the simple gift of being present. As the final echoes fade into the valleys and dawn slowly approaches beyond the mountains, ancient Japan reveals yet another layer of its peaceful character. The forests remain patient, the rivers continue flowing, and the moon begins its gradual descent toward the horizon. Yet among the quiet gardens and ancient pathways, one more gentle chapter awaits. A place where families gathered beneath summer skies, watching stars appear one by one, while sharing stories that would endure through generations. The families who gathered beneath the summer stars. As the warmth of summer settled comfortably across the valleys and hills of ancient Japan, evenings often unfolded with a remarkable sense of peace. The heat of the day gradually faded, gentle breezes drifted through open windows, and families emerged from their homes to enjoy the cool air beneath the night sky. Lanterns glowed softly beside gardens and pathways, while rivers continued their quiet journeys through landscapes bathed in moonlight. Imagine standing in a small village courtyard as the stars begin appearing overhead. Mats have been placed upon the wooden veranda, while nearby lanterns cast a warm golden light across flowering plants and smooth stone pathways. The fragrance of jasmine and fresh cedar lingers in the air, while the soft sounds of insects accompany the arrival of another peaceful summer evening. For many families in ancient Japan, these moments offered opportunities to slow down and enjoy one another's company without hurry. The tasks of the day had been completed, meals had been shared, and the hours ahead belonged entirely to rest, conversation, and observation. People looked toward the heavens, admired the moon, watched fireflies drift among the grasses, and listened to the sounds of nature that seemed especially vivid after sunset. Imagine sitting beside grandparents who begin telling stories carried through generations. They speak softly about mountain temples hidden among cedar forests, rivers reflecting the stars, cranes appearing in the mist, and travelers following lantern-lit roads beneath the moon. Children listen attentively while gazing upward, noticing familiar constellations appearing one by one above the rooftops and treetops surrounding the village. Many of ancient Japan's gentlest legends endured because they were shared during evenings like these. They were not always recorded within books or preserved inside great libraries. Instead, they lived within memories, carried forward through conversations beneath the stars, beside warm lanterns, and among families gathered together after the day's work had ended. Stories became bridges connecting generations, preserving not only events, but also feelings, values, and ways of seeing the world. Imagine the night growing deeper as voices gradually become quieter. Some people continue watching the sky, while others simply enjoy the comfort of sitting together beneath the vast heavens. The Milky Way stretches above the valley with extraordinary clarity, and the moon illuminates distant mountains whose outlines appear soft against the darkness. Everything feels calm, secure, and beautifully timeless. Perhaps this is one of the most enduring lessons offered by these quiet gatherings. Happiness is often found in simple experiences shared with others. A cool breeze during summer, the sound of crickets singing nearby, the sight of stars appearing overhead, or the pleasure of listening to stories that have accompanied countless evenings before our own. Such moments rarely announce themselves as important, yet they often become the memories we cherish most deeply. As midnight approaches, lanterns continue glowing softly within the village, while the stars wheel slowly overhead. One by one, families return indoors, carrying with them the peace of another evening spent beneath the sky. Yet our journey through ancient Japan is not yet complete. Beyond the mountains, rivers, forests, and gardens, one final chapter still awaits, where the quiet wisdom of the seasons and the timeless beauty of the natural world gently guide us toward the end of our peaceful journey beneath the stars. The seasons that painted ancient Japan. After wandering through mountain temples, moonlit rivers, bamboo forests, snowy villages, and lantern-lit pathways, it becomes clear that one of the greatest storytellers in ancient Japan was not a person at all, but the passing of the seasons themselves. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter transformed the same landscapes again and again, offering new colors, fragrances, sounds, and emotions, while preserving the quiet harmony that connected every part of the natural world. Imagine standing upon a hillside overlooking a valley that changes before your eyes with the turning of the year. In spring, cherry blossoms spread across the countryside like soft clouds of pink and white, while streams swell gently with fresh mountain water. Summer follows with deep green forests, warm evenings, and fireflies drifting above rivers beneath clear skies. Autumn arrives carrying brilliant shades of crimson and gold, and winter eventually settles over the land, covering rooftops, gardens, and cedar branches with peaceful layers of snow. For the people of ancient Japan, observing these changes was not merely a pastime. It became a way of understanding life itself. The blooming of flowers reminded them to appreciate fleeting beauty. Falling leaves encouraged reflection upon change. Snow invited stillness and gratitude for warmth, while summer evenings offered opportunities to gather beneath the stars and celebrate the comfort of companionship. Every season carried its own quiet lessons, revealed not through instruction, but through simple observation. Imagine walking along the same path during each season of the year. In spring, petals drift around you in the breeze. During summer, bamboo leaves cast moving shadows across the ground while insects sing among the grasses. Autumn covers the stones beneath your feet with vibrant leaves, and winter transforms familiar landscapes into scenes of silver, white, and remarkable tranquility. Though the surroundings continually change, the feeling of peace remains wonderfully constant. Many gentle Japanese legends reflect this deep appreciation for seasonal rhythms. Stories were often inspired by blossoms that bloomed for only a short time, birds returning after long journeys, rivers carrying fallen leaves toward distant valleys, or the first snowfall settling quietly upon temple rooftops. These moments became reminders that life is always moving forward, yet there is beauty to be found within every stage of its journey. Imagine sitting beside a garden pond as the seasons pass around you. Cherry blossoms fall into the water during spring, dragonflies skim its surface throughout summer, maple leaves gather along its edges in autumn, and winter frost decorates the stones surrounding it. The pond remains the same, yet each season offers it a new character, allowing familiar places to become endlessly renewed without ever losing their essence. Perhaps this is one of the reasons ancient Japan continues to inspire such admiration. It teaches us that beauty does not reside only in extraordinary experiences, but also within recurring moments that return year after year. A blossom opening, a lantern glowing at dusk, a bell ringing across a valley, or snow settling gently upon cedar branches can become sources of comfort precisely because they remind us of life's enduring rhythms. As another peaceful evening settles over the landscape, stars begin appearing above distant mountains once more. Rivers continue flowing through valleys, lanterns glow softly behind paper windows, and the seasons quietly prepare for another endless cycle of renewal. Yet before our journey reaches its conclusion, ancient Japan still has a few final stories to share beneath the calm and timeless light of the moon. The moon that watched over every generation. As the seasons continued their endless cycle across the landscapes of ancient Japan, there was one companion that remained constant above mountains, forests, villages, and rivers. Long before calendars marked the passing years and long before cities expanded across the islands, the moon rose faithfully each evening, casting its gentle light upon generations who paused to admire its quiet beauty. It illuminated the same valleys, reflected upon the same waters, and accompanied countless people through moments of joy, reflection, gratitude, and rest. Imagine standing beside a mountain lake on a calm autumn evening. The water is perfectly still, mirroring the sky so clearly that the moon appears to float between two worlds. Above, stars shine across the heavens with remarkable brilliance, while below, their reflections shimmer softly upon the surface of the lake. The surrounding forests remain motionless beneath the cool night air, creating a scene so peaceful that it feels untouched by the passage of time. For the people of ancient Japan, the moon was not simply an object in the sky. It became a source of inspiration for poets, painters, travelers, and storytellers. Entire evenings were dedicated to observing its changing forms, appreciating the subtle differences between a crescent appearing above distant hills, a full moon illuminating rice fields, or a pale reflection resting quietly within a garden pond. Each phase carried its own atmosphere, encouraging contemplation and gratitude for the beauty of ordinary moments. Imagine sitting beneath a veranda, overlooking a quiet garden, while the moon slowly climbs higher above the cedar trees. A lantern burns softly beside you, though its light feels almost unnecessary beneath the silvery glow that now fills the landscape. Nearby, bamboo leaves sway gently in the breeze, while the fragrance of flowers lingers faintly in the cool night air. Everything around you seems to belong to the same harmonious rhythm: the movement of clouds, the rustling of branches, and the gradual journey of the moon across the sky. Many gentle legends were inspired by evenings like these because they reminded people that some experiences transcend generations. The same moon admired by travelers centuries ago continues to rise today, illuminating mountains, rivers, temples, and villages, much as it always has. Though lives change and seasons pass, the moon remains a quiet witness to countless stories unfolding beneath its light. Imagine a family gathered beside a river during a summer festival hundreds of years ago, watching the moon reflected upon the water. Their conversations, laughter, and moments of silence have long since disappeared into history, yet the moon above them continues its timeless journey. In this way, it becomes a bridge connecting people across centuries, offering a sense of continuity that feels both comforting and profound. Perhaps this is why moonlight occupies such a special place within Japanese imagination. It asks for nothing except attention. It does not rush, nor does it compete for notice. It simply arrives each evening with quiet generosity, transforming familiar landscapes into places of extraordinary beauty, and inviting anyone who looks upward to pause, breathe deeply, and appreciate the moment they are living within. As the moon reaches its highest point above the sleeping countryside, lanterns continue glowing softly within distant homes, and rivers maintain their steady song beneath the stars. Yet among the gardens, forests, and mountain paths of ancient Japan, another gentle lesson patiently awaits, a reminder that peace can often be found not in seeking more, but in learning to appreciate what has always been present around us. The quiet wisdom hidden in ordinary moments. After wandering through the landscapes of ancient Japan, through cedar forests wrapped in mist, villages illuminated by lantern light, rivers carrying reflections of the moon, and gardens filled with blossoms drifting softly in the breeze, it becomes easier to understand why so many gentle legends endured for centuries. Their greatest lesson was never found in extraordinary events, but in the quiet beauty of ordinary moments patiently observed and deeply appreciated. Imagine awakening before sunrise in a small mountain village. The world is still asleep, yet the first hints of dawn have already begun to brighten the eastern sky. A thin veil of mist lingers above the rice fields, while a stream continues its familiar song beside a stone pathway. Smoke rises slowly from a distant chimney, and birds hidden among the cedar branches begin greeting the new day with soft melodies carried by the morning air. For the people of ancient Japan, experiences like these were not considered insignificant. They were reminders that life itself unfolds through countless small moments woven together over time. A warm cup of tea shared with a friend, the fragrance of rain lingering after a summer shower, the sound of leaves moving gently overhead, or the sight of lantern light shining through a paper window during winter could become sources of comfort and quiet gratitude. Imagine sitting beside a garden pond in the early evening as the first stars appear above the trees. A single koi glides beneath the surface, creating ripples that spread slowly across the water before disappearing completely. Nearby, bamboo leaves sway in the breeze, while the reflection of the moon begins forming upon the pond. Nothing extraordinary is taking place, yet the scene feels deeply meaningful simply because it is experienced with patience and attention. Many of ancient Japan's most beloved stories invite us to see the world in this way. They encourage us to notice details that often pass unnoticed amid busier days. The arrival of the first blossom in spring, the sound of a distant temple bell at dusk, or the gentle fall of snow upon a quiet roof can become moments of remarkable beauty when we allow ourselves to pause long enough to truly experience them. Imagine following a familiar path through the countryside during each season of the year. In spring, petals drift softly around you. Summer fills the air with the songs of insects and the glow of fireflies. Autumn paints the landscape with warm colors, and winter covers the earth in peaceful silence. Though the scenery changes continually, a quiet sense of harmony remains, reminding us that beauty often resides not in permanence, but in the graceful rhythm of transformation itself. Perhaps this is one of the greatest gifts ancient Japan offers us today. It teaches us that serenity is rarely found in distant places or extraordinary circumstances. More often, it exists within the moments we already possess. The warmth of sunlight entering a room, the sound of rain outside a window, the comfort of familiar voices, or the sight of stars appearing one by one in the evening sky. As night settles gently across the valleys once again, lanterns glow softly beneath wooden roofs, rivers continue their patient journey toward the sea, and cedar forests stand quietly beneath the moon, exactly as they have for countless generations. Our journey is slowly approaching its conclusion, yet ancient Japan still holds one final chapter waiting beneath the stars. A peaceful farewell to a world where beauty was discovered not by rushing forward, but by learning to move with the same gentle rhythm as nature itself, leaving ancient Japan carrying its peace. As our journey through ancient Japan begins its final gentle passage, the landscapes we have wandered through seem to gather quietly around us once more. The cedar forests remain patient beneath the stars. Bamboo groves continue whispering in the night breeze, rivers carry moonlight toward distant valleys, and lanterns still glow softly behind paper windows in villages resting peacefully among the mountains. Nothing has changed, and yet everything feels a little different, because we have learned to see these places with slower eyes and a quieter heart. Imagine walking one last time along a stone pathway leading through a sleeping village. The moon hangs above the rooftops, illuminating narrow streams that flow beside the homes and gardens. Cherry trees rest peacefully in the darkness, while the fragrance of cedar and fresh earth lingers in the cool evening air. Somewhere in the distance, a temple bell sounds softly through the valley before fading into silence, leaving behind a stillness that feels warm rather than empty. Throughout our journey, ancient Japan has revealed itself not through grand monuments or dramatic events, but through simple experiences lovingly observed over centuries. We discovered beauty within drifting blossoms, moonlit ponds, fireflies moving above rivers, rain tapping gently upon rooftops, and snow settling upon ancient trees. We learned that a lantern's glow can feel welcoming enough to brighten an entire evening, and that even the smallest moments can become lasting memories when we give them our full attention. Imagine sitting for a final moment beneath an old pine tree overlooking a quiet garden. The pond below reflects both the moon and the stars, while a cool breeze stirs the branches overhead. A koi glides silently through the water, creating circles that expand outward before dissolving into perfect calm. The scene feels timeless, as though it has existed in this peaceful balance for generations, waiting patiently for someone willing to pause and notice its quiet beauty. Perhaps this is why the gentle legends of ancient Japan continue to resonate so deeply even today. They remind us that peace does not need to be created. It already exists within the world around us, waiting to be discovered in the rustling of bamboo leaves, the sound of water flowing over stones, the warmth of a cup of tea shared with a friend, or the simple pleasure of watching the moon rise slowly above the mountains. There is something profoundly comforting about knowing that many of these places still endure. Somewhere tonight, lanterns are glowing beside old wooden homes. Somewhere, a temple bell is echoing through cedar forests. Somewhere, petals are drifting across a garden pond. And somewhere else, a traveler is following a quiet path beneath a sky filled with stars. Though centuries may separate us from those who once lived in ancient Japan, the beauty they admired remains wonderfully familiar. Imagine taking one final look toward the mountains as dawn begins preparing its return beyond the horizon. The stars are still visible overhead, though their brilliance is beginning to soften. Mist gathers gently among the valleys, rivers continue their endless journey, and the world seems to pause for a moment between night and morning. It is a reminder that every ending quietly contains the beginning of something new. As we leave ancient Japan behind, we do not leave empty-handed. We carry with us the calm of moonlit gardens, the warmth of lantern-lit evenings, the fragrance of cedar forests after rain, and the quiet wisdom hidden within changing seasons. These gifts ask for nothing except remembrance, inviting us to slow our pace whenever life feels hurried and to rediscover the beauty that has always been waiting patiently around us. Above, the moon continues its timeless journey, just as it did for poets, travelers, families, and storytellers countless generations ago. Beneath its gentle light, ancient Japan rests peacefully, preserving its quiet legends among forests, rivers, mountains, and gardens that remain forever connected to the rhythm of the natural world. And somewhere beyond the cedar trees, where morning mist drifts softly through the valleys and lanterns fade beneath the first light of dawn, one final chapter patiently awaits. A gentle farewell to a timeless world where every season, every blossom, and every moonlit evening became part of a story carried lovingly through the centuries. A final dawn beneath the quiet skies of ancient Japan. At last, the long and peaceful night begins to welcome the first signs of morning. The stars still shimmer faintly above the mountains, yet their brilliance slowly softens as a pale ribbon of light appears along the eastern horizon. Mist drifts gently through cedar forests and valleys, while rivers continue their patient journey toward the sea, exactly as they have for countless generations. Ancient Japan awakens gradually, never rushing the arrival of a new day, but embracing it with the same calm rhythm that has shaped its landscapes for centuries. Imagine standing at the edge of a quiet hillside, overlooking a sleeping village. Lanterns that glowed warmly throughout the night are beginning to fade, their gentle light surrendering itself to the growing brightness of dawn. Thin strands of smoke rise from a handful of chimneys. Birds hidden among the trees offer the first songs of morning, and dew glistens upon bamboo leaves touched by the cool air. Everything feels refreshed, balanced, and wonderfully at peace. Throughout our journey, we have wandered through places where beauty revealed itself slowly. We walked beneath cherry blossoms drifting upon the wind, followed lantern-lit roads through mountain valleys, listened to rain singing softly upon rooftops, watched fireflies illuminate summer nights, and admired the moon reflecting upon quiet ponds and flowing rivers. We discovered temples hidden among cedars, tea houses resting beneath the stars, and gardens designed not to impress, but to encourage stillness, reflection, and gratitude. Perhaps this is the greatest lesson ancient Japan quietly offers us. It teaches us that serenity is rarely found through constant movement or endless pursuit, Instead, it emerges when we pause long enough to appreciate what already surrounds us. A single blossom opening at dawn, the sound of a bell echoing through the mountains, the warmth of tea shared beside a lantern, or the sight of snow settling gently upon a rooftop can become moments of profound beauty when experienced with an attentive heart. Imagine taking one final walk along a familiar path bordered by cedar trees and flowering shrubs. The same stones that reflected moonlight only hours ago are now illuminated by the soft gold of sunrise. Streams shimmer beneath wooden bridges, birds move among branches filled with morning light, and the fragrance of fresh earth rises gently with the warming air. Though the night has passed, its tranquility remains, lingering quietly within the landscape and within us. The people who lived in ancient Japan understood something that continues to feel meaningful even today. They recognized that nature is not merely something to observe, but something capable of teaching patience, acceptance, and appreciation. The changing seasons became reminders that beauty often exists within impermanence. Blossoms fall, leaves drift away, snowfall melts, and evening eventually becomes morning. Yet each moment contributes to a rhythm far greater than itself. Imagine pausing beside a small pond one final time. The moon that accompanied us throughout the night has nearly disappeared beyond the western horizon, while the rising sun paints the water with soft shades of gold and silver. A koi moves gently beneath the surface, creating ripples that spread outward before fading once again into calm. The pond remains as peaceful as ever, holding within it the quiet memory of stars, lanterns, blossoms, and moonlight that passed across its waters through countless seasons. Perhaps this is why the gentle legends of ancient Japan continue to endure. They are not stories about conquering the world, but about learning to belong within it. They remind us that there is beauty in slowing down, wisdom in observing carefully, and comfort in understanding that life moves in cycles, much like rivers flowing toward the sea or the moon returning faithfully to the night sky. Even now, somewhere among the mountains of Japan, morning light is touching cedar forests that have stood for centuries. Lanterns are being extinguished after peaceful evenings. Temple bells are welcoming a new day, and blossoms are opening quietly beneath the sun. The landscapes may have changed through time, yet the feelings they inspire remain remarkably familiar. Wonder, gratitude, tranquility, and the quiet joy of simply being present. As our journey gently comes to an end, take one final look at this ancient world. Notice the mist lifting from the valleys, the first sunlight reaching the rooftops, and the calm certainty that these places will continue welcoming new seasons long after we have moved on. The rivers will keep flowing, the bamboo will continue whispering in the wind, and the moon will rise once again above mountains, forests, gardens, and villages that have inspired dreamers, poets, and travelers for generations. Thank you for walking through the quiet legends of ancient Japan. May your thoughts be as peaceful as a moonlit garden, your spirit as patient as a cedar tree growing through the centuries, and your rest as gentle as the sound of rain falling softly upon an old wooden roof beneath a sky filled with stars. And somewhere beyond the mountains, where lanterns glow faintly before dawn and mist drifts through the forests, the quiet legends of ancient Japan continue to live on, waiting patiently to welcome every traveler who arrives with an open heart, a calm mind, and an unhurried soul.